please, everybody, give a warm welcome to Simon from Career Codex. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Simon Gray, and I'm founding director of Career Codex. And I'm going to talk to you this morning about how you stand out in the job market. Because you guys may be not ready for a job just yet, but at some point in the future you will be. And standing out is one of the things that you'll need to do. What I'd like to do is to start with a quote from Einstein. And Einstein said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But it's my contention that it's exactly the same in the job market. Because if you do the same thing as everybody else in the job market, how can you ever be the one that stands out? How can you ever be the one who gets hired? So people talk about standing out, but nobody's very clear about what standing out actually means. But I'm going to talk to you today and give you some tools and ideas and tell you some stories about how you can go away and think about moving forwards, how you might stand out even now, even if you're at school or college or university and not yet ready to enter the job market. Bit of background first. So I have had a slightly unusual career, I'm told. I trained as a chartered accountant, qualified as a chartered accountant, and then I was looking for another job. And I went to see a recruitment company. And this recruitment company said to me, "We think you can sell. Why don't you come and work in recruitment?" And I spent the next 10 years in the recruitment industry, sat between job seeker, people looking for work, and employers looking to hire. So I got to observe how the job market really works. And some of the things that I'll share with you today, I learnt along that journey. Partway through my recruitment career, I did 6 years with one particular business, and I read a book called Angry White Pajamas. Anyone read that book? Okay. Anyone do martial arts? Yeah, martial arts, fantastic. So Angry White Pajamas is about a guy who goes to Japan. He's an Oxford poet who goes to Japan and enrolls on something called the Yoshinkan Aikido Senshusei program, which is basically an 11-month martial arts boot camp learning Aikido with the Tokyo Riot Police. Pretty brutal. If you like martial arts, have a read of the book. It's great. And I read this book and I thought, oh dear, I've read this book. I need to go and do it. So I sold all my possessions. I got on a plane to Japan, and I had a fantastic experience. Had a life-changing experience. And that time in Japan taught me everything that I ever need to know about discipline and determination. And some of that transcends into Career Codex and the business that I started. But I ran out of money. So I came back to the UK, and I set my own recruitment business up in September 2008, right at the start of September 2008. Can anyone tell me what happened in September 2008? Yes. Financial crisis. Yeah, everyone was shutting up shop. Nobody was hiring. Nobody was looking for a job. Really, really tough time. But learning and taking note of some of the stuff I'd learned in Japan, we pushed on, we grew our business to a reasonable size, employed 20 people, and we're very, very profitable. And I started to advise people in this role about how you actually move in the job market. And I decided I'd write a book called Super Secrets of the Successful Job Seeker, basically to stop me having to repeat myself over and over again. And this book's done really well. It's on Amazon. It has over 55 five-star reviews and continues to get more reviews. And people started to approach me and say, "Simon, could you coach me about how to find a job? We talk to recruiters, but could you actually give me some specific advice?" And there was the idea born to start Career Codex. Since then, I've gone on to write another book for senior executives, and the book on the far right, in yellow, I'm in the middle of writing. And if you've never written a book before, I can tell you it takes a long time, but it's well worth the effort. So there's a few of you in the room today. There's loads more people in the skills show. If you're on Twitter, please follow me at Career Codex. And if you'd like to ask me a question that you don't want to ask me at the end, or we don't get time at the end, if you use the hashtag SkillsCC2015, I promise to come back to you. So 3 things I'm going to talk to you about today: entrepreneurship, resilience, and communication. So we talk about entrepreneurship, don't we? Yeah, we talked about Theo earlier, who's the patron of the show. He's an entrepreneur. Yeah, he's on Dragon's Den. But what really is entrepreneurship? So I decided I'd look entrepreneurship up in the dictionary. And this is what it said. It said, skill in starting a new business, especially when seeking new opportunities. But it's my belief that even if you're not in business, you can still be an entrepreneur. You can still be entrepreneurial. You guys are at school. You can still be entrepreneurial. You don't have to wait to start a business, because what's important in that definition is not the first bit, it's the second bit, which is about seeking opportunities. Because there are hundreds of opportunities around all of us today. There's hundreds of people here you can talk to. There's hundreds of people here you can engage with. But we all live in what people call our comfort zone. Anyone live in their comfort zone? Yeah? Yeah. So your comfort zone are the places you go, the people you know, and the things you're used to doing. And it's very hard to step out of your comfort zone and try new things. Why? Because it's risky. Why? Because it's scary. And sometimes you may take knockbacks. But it's important to step out of your comfort zone and stay there just long enough that you develop new skills, new expertise, build new relationships. Because I can tell you, if you want to grow in business and you want to be successful in your career, you have to step out of your comfort zone. And the longer you can stay out of your comfort zone, and the further you can push your comfort zone, the perimeters of it, the more successful you'll be. And I'm going to share with you a couple of stories now which are personal to me that will demonstrate how stepping out of your comfort zone can lead to new opportunities, new personal opportunities, or potentially new career opportunities. So when I started my recruitment business, middle of the recession, I was up against some of the biggest recruitment companies in the job market. They were my competitors. I got no money, no budget for advertising, so what could I do? Anyway, I was lying in bed one day, listening to the radio. It was quite early in the morning, and I was listening to BBC Radio Nottingham, and there was a guy on there talking about how you write a CV. And I lay there thinking, well, why is this guy on the radio? Why am I not on the radio? And I contacted the radio station via email, followed up with a phone call, and 3 days later, I was live in the studio, live on air on The Breakfast Show. And I was absolutely terrified. Okay, you walk in, the guy's talking into the microphone, and suddenly he says, Simon, over to you. My voice croaked, I panicked, I was shaking, I was nervous, but I did it. Because I did it, I got asked back. Because I got asked back and did it again, I continued to get asked back. And I started to build a relationship with the press and the media. This led to news, this led to TV, and 5 years later, when the new governor of the Bank of England came to Nottingham, came to the East Midlands to do his first public address, I got the call from the Wall Street Journal for my opinion, the Financial Times for my opinion, and I was the top story on BBC National News at 10. That was all because 5 years earlier, I'd sown a seed. I'd broken out of my comfort zone, I'd done something difficult, and because I'd done something difficult, it became easy over time. And the second example of breaking out of your comfort zone is doing what I'm doing today. I used to be terrified of public speaking. Anyone in the audience like to swap with me? I know you would. This is the worst thing you can do, yeah, bar dying, apparently. And I had to do a presentation a couple of years ago. First big presentation in front of 150 business people. And I was terrified. I stood at the back before I went on stage, and I thought, do I run for the door, or do I actually get on stage? And I paced about, and I was nervous, and it just wasn't a great presentation. But I persevered. I did another one, and it got better and better and better. And I saw education from a professional public speaker who helped me do what I'm doing today. So what I do now is, when anyone says to me, do you want to go and speak? I say yes. It gets easier every single time. So the things that you might want to do, there are opportunities all around you, and I would encourage you to take them and to be entrepreneurial in your thinking. When you walk around the stands today, it's an opportunity to talk to people you don't know, build new relationships, uncover new opportunities, and I encourage you to do that. Let's talk about resilience. I seem to have jumped back, didn't I, on my slides? Never mind. Okay, let's talk about resilience. So resilience is keeping going when times get tough. But at the moment, in this current world we live in, and we heard the gentleman before talking about the new technology coming, it's very easy to get comfortable. There's this thing called instant gratification. So if you're hungry, you can go to a fast food restaurant. You can eat in seconds. If you need to go into town or travel somewhere, jump on a bus, a train, a plane, or get in a car. It's far too easy. Even when you sit on your sofa watching the telly and you click the remote control, you don't even have to get up to change the TV channel. So life's got very comfortable. The problem with that is it's conditioning us to get too comfortable and expecting instant results. And when you get into the job market, unfortunately, it's not like that. I've been working with a senior executive recently to help him navigate his way through the job market. And one of the things he said to me is, Simon, I've sent my CV, I've got no response. I've been on an interview, I've had no response, or I didn't get the job. I've done it 2 or 3 times, I don't know what to do. And he was about to give up. He wasn't resilient enough. But what about if the next interview he went on, the next time he sent his CV to somebody, what about if that was the time he'd have quit too early? So being resilient and understanding that rejection is just part of any recruitment process or anything you do in life in the real world is something to get to grips with. I want to talk a little bit about my time in Japan on my course, because that taught me everything I needed to know about resilience. So this was a brutal Aikido boot camp, training 4 hours a day. And if you're into martial arts, then it's quite a famous course. And people used to travel from all over the world. When they were in Japan, they'd come and watch us train. And I always used to listen to these people afterwards, talking to one another. And they'd often say, it's not that hard, that course. That class wasn't that difficult. I could do that. Do you know what? They were right. But what they couldn't do was the other 289 days of training, 4 hours a day. Because I had good days, I had bad days. You were sick, doesn't matter, you train. You were tired, doesn't matter, you train. You've broken your arm, it doesn't matter, you train. There was no escape, okay? And that taught me everything I need to know about resilience. And our mind sometimes stops us doing the things that our body tells us we can't do. What I discovered is your mind is a supreme being. That's what's in control of you and your actions. When you think it's getting tough, that's the time to push through. That's the time to break through your comfort zone and keep going. That's the time to be resilient. So, let's talk a bit about communication. So I imagine, hands up who's got an iPhone or a mobile phone, yeah? So when I was at school, we didn't even have email. Yeah, I had to use the landline. Yeah, I had to write letters. It's getting quite easy now to communicate, okay? So the problem with that is, when you apply for jobs, it's very easy to send a CV and to sit back and wait. But really, when you do that, you're not doing anything different to anybody else. And going back to my Einstein quote, if you want to stand out in the job market, you have to do things different. So my advice to you is, observe what other people are doing, and if other people are sending their CV and waiting, well, what could you do differently? How could you communicate differently? Today is a prime example. There are hundreds of employers in the room. There are hundreds of employers in the room that you might just be interested in working for one day. You go up to them, have a conversation, yeah, get their business card. If you're on LinkedIn, connect to them. You've built a relationship. They will remember you. They will remember you. And when an opportunity presents itself further down the track, you're the person they'll come to. Whenever I present, I always remember the person that looks at me and smiles, or the person that asks me a question. And if I ever had an opportunity where I needed to employ somebody, that's the kind of person I'd want to employ. So you have to get out there and be proactive. You have to position yourself physically in front of people who could potentially hire you. And don't be scared about it, yeah? We get used to doing this, but actually get used to doing that, and going out into the world and building relationships. And I wanted to tell you a story about a guy that I hired into my recruitment business about 5 or 6 years ago. This guy's called Matt. And Matt was a young guy, he's about 17 years of age, and he wanted to work for my company. And he sent me an email with his CV attached. And I got a lot of emails, so I didn't see his email, I missed his CV. And he phoned me up in my office and said, "Is that Simon?" I said, "Yeah, it's Simon." He said, "It's Matt. I sent my CV to you a couple of weeks ago. Did you read it?" I'm quite embarrassed. I said, "No, I didn't." He said, "Well, you might be interested in my experience. Open up your email and have a look." I thought, wow, okay. So I opened up the email, had a look at his CV, and this guy had got 2 weeks' work experience working for a rival recruitment company. He immediately got my attention because he knew something about the sector that he potentially wanted to work in. So I invited him in for interview. Did the first interview really well, turned up polished, presented, smart suit. I invited him back for second interview. And when we brought people back for second interview, we like to give them a challenge. So what we used to do is to say, imagine you're working for my business right now. I want you to prospectively write a letter to a business. And we gave him, I think it was Punch Taverns, the pub company. I want you to write a letter introducing our services and see if you get a meeting. So he turned up at my office for his second interview, and he had a wine bottle with him. And he had a letter rolled up like a scroll in the top of this bottle with my company branding on the bottle. I said to him, Matt, what's that? He said to me, Simon, it's a message in a bottle. This is my letter to get the attention of Punch Pub Company. How cool is that? How impressive is that? How different is that? What do you think I did? I hired him on the spot. This guy's been promoted 3 times since. He's now moved on, but I think he's about 19, 20 now. His career's got off to a flying start. Young gentleman in front of me here, Dan Miller, who will speak later on today. You should go and check him out. He's 18 years of age, 17 years of age. There we go, did you a disservice. He, again, is a shining example of what's possible if you think differently and act differently to everybody else. Age is not a barrier to anything. It's what goes up here and your belief in your comfort zone that stops people. So I wanted to tell you briefly a little bit about what Career Codex is about. Most people, when they think about the job market, and let me ask you, when you think about the job market, what's the first thing you think about? Anybody? CV, maybe? When anyone approaches me in my business, one of the first things they say to me is, Simon, can you help me with the CV? And I think, oh dear, wrong question. But yes, I can. What Career Codex is all about is saying, okay, yes, you do need a CV, but it's a minuscule part of a bit of finding success in the job market. And Career Codex jumps 3 steps back to say, to find success in the job market, you have to understand the job market environment, how the job market works, who the players are, how they think, how they act, how to get the best response from them. You then have to think about psychology. For me, this is the most important thing. It's what goes on up here. What you believe impacts on how you think and ultimately how you act. I don't believe in positive thinking. Okay, I believe in changing beliefs and changing beliefs through education and understanding. And that's what we talk about on the Career Codex process. We then talk about planning. If you run a business, and I run a couple of businesses, you have to have a plan. You've got to know where you're going. When you go on a journey or go on holiday, you know where you're going, don't you? You set the sat-nav, or you got your airline ticket. But when it comes to the job market, so many people just turn up and expect the job to pop up. So they react to jobs that are advertised and don't necessarily think about what job they really want. So we do a whole exercise about how you put together what I call a personal job seeker plan, to define the job you want and then to go out and find it and secure it ahead of your competition. And that leads me on to process. CV is part of the process, but how do you write an impactful CV? It's about social media strategy. It's about how you turn up at interview and impress. And I have a strategy for interview that says you don't turn up and get faced with a barrage of questions. I can show people how to turn up for interview and control the interview from start to finish, no matter what anybody asks you, so that you're the one that gets hired. And I've used this myself to get a part-time job that I have up in Nottingham. So it's a whole suite of education that jumps 3 steps back from just a CV, because that's only a very, very small part of the process. And for the last 12 months, I've been getting out of my comfort zone again. I've been in the film studio in the green room filming the Career Codex project, which essentially is a suite of e-learning and video learning that will come to market later this year. If you're a university, college, or school, this can be your employability solution. If you have an employability solution, a careers department, it can supplement it. And it's available also to individuals on smartphones, iPads, and apps. This will come out later this year. So, that's pretty much it. These are my contact details. If you'd like to find out more about Career Codex, please visit careercodex.com. If you'd like to connect or have any feedback on the talk today or any questions, if you go onto Facebook, facebook.com/Career Codex, please like the page. Ask me any questions and I'll come back to you and give you some feedback. But if anyone has a question, I'd be very happy to answer your questions right now. Anyone brave enough to ask me a question? Yes, sir. Career Codex. Okay, so the question is, how long has my business been running for? So Career Codex has been running for about 1.5 years. Okay. It's tough when you start a business. It's tough when you start a business because you have to get your positioning in the marketplace right. You then have to promote that positioning. And you can have the best idea in the world, but if you don't know how to promote yourself and you're not prepared to get out of your comfort zone to do it, it becomes very difficult. But again, it's resilience. It's It's entrepreneurship. It's resilience. It's about keep pushing. Because it's my belief that if you keep knocking on the door of success, eventually there is only one option. And the option is that door will open.